Okay guys, today we're going to talk about H. pylori and how to fix it. And this is a greatly misunderstood condition in both the modern and in the holistic medical community. So let's first jump into just understanding what is going on, because that's half the problem, is just not understanding what's going on and what's what. I bet the biggest thing that you're just confused. You don't know what to do. You don't know if you need to take acid blockers or take more acids or what foods to eat. I mean, you're total at a loss at what to do, but we're going to clear all that up and give you a good direction to start going in. So, what is going on? So, H. pylori, people with H. pylori are usually dealing with either GERD or acid reflux, heartburn, or stomach ulcers. Or they're going to have ulcers up near the sphincters in the beginning of the duodenum in the pylorus. Now what happens, this is due to a conflict shock. So I know a lot of you guys who have H. pylori or who have had stomach issues, had the GERD, and have had acid reflux, they are super stressed out. They have a lot of stress in their lives. So the conflict shock that is associated with the upper curvature of the stomach, or the lesser curvature of the stomach up here, is going to be a male territorial anger or a female identity conflict. And I'll get into more of what those things are later. But you had a conflict shock, and so what happens, so you have a normal day and night rhythm, you're a normal happy person, everything's great, and then territorial anger. Maybe, let's say, my neighbor tears down my fence and builds a new fence, and it says, hey, the city drew the lines wrong. I actually have, your land is actually my land. And I'm like, no, it's not, it's mine. Territorial anger. I'm conflict active in territorial anger. So what this is going to do is this tissue up here responds with cell loss. So you're going to start losing cells up here slowly. And it depends on how long the conflict is and how intense the conflict is. The more intense, the more anger I am, the faster this cell loss is going to happen. And behind the scenes, we will start to see H. pylori start to develop. And they'll be inactive. So while you're conflict active, the longer, the more mass, the longer and the more intense this conflict is, we're going to have H. pylori start to develop on this tissue. And then, they're just sitting there, they're waiting in the wing, they're not ready yet, they're not really doing anything yet, but people will test positive for H. pylori. And so when they do resolve the conflict, let's say the neighbor moves and you get your land back or something like that, or somehow you resolve the conflict where you're not all upset about it anymore, then what's going to happen is the H. pylori is actually here to help you. This is when the person will probably get diagnosed with gastritis, cell proliferation. We need to heal that cell loss. So the bacteria, the H. pylori, are here to replenish the cell loss. So what modern medicine and holistic medicine will do is they'll try to kill H. pylori, and this is just kind of silly. We can take mild disinfectants to kind of help reduce the symptoms, but H. pylori is healing us. It's part of the healing phase. It's trying to help stitch us back together. Just because there's firefighters at the scene of a fire doesn't mean the firefighters caused the fire. Just because H. pylori is at the scene of every single stomach ulcer doesn't mean H. pylori caused the stomach ulcer. Don't you think that's a little weird that everyone with stomach ulcers like has H. pylori? Wouldn't you think it'd be, if it was like a true infection, wouldn't you think it'd be something random every single time? No, it's always H. pylori. Always. And it's because our body makes these cells to help heal us when we enter the healing phase. So what do we do from here? So the first thing we need to do is identify the conflict. And to do this, we need to know if it is a male territorial anger or a female identity conflict. And this will depend, which one it is will depend on your handedness. Now I know this sounds a little wonky, but I mean, depending on what handedness you are, changes how your brain's wired. So the way you do this is you do the clap test. So when I clap, my left hand is on top and my left hand moves. So I'm left-handed. Even though I'm right-handed, I am left-handed because when I do the clap test, and if I try to clap right-handed, I got to put my arm out here like a chicken. You know, what's more comfortable? You know, some people will clap like this because they're from Australia or something like that. I don't know why people clap like this, but like it's the left hand that moves. And so what you do once you know your handedness, you go to thelearninggnm.com, and I'll have the link down below, and it has like this little chart to help you identify which conflict it is. So a territorial anger conflict relates to anger in the environment and places which one considers his or her domain, literally or figuratively. Typical territorial anger conflicts are disputes at home, feuds at work, anger in the school, anger at the nursing home or in the hospital, also in the extended territory such as a village, town, or a country in which one lives, battles over land or property, annoying noises in the house or in the neighborhood, a fight over a parking spot. So it's anger, territorial anger. And then we also have the female identity conflict, which refers to the inability to establish one's position or place within the territory. Literally or figuratively, an unwanted move, a change in school, or a change in the workplace can activate the conflict. Feeling unsettled, not knowing where to belong, not finding one's place in a relationship or within the family, the group at work, or in the culture. You know, let's say someone's gay and they're afraid of coming out of the closet. You could be an immigrant and you feel like you're not fitting in. It can also be described as a decision conflict, not knowing what choice to make, not knowing where to go. So once you identify what the conflict is, or what type it is, you need to identify what the conflict was. So when your stomach ulcer started, or when your GERD started, roughly a year time frame before that, like what was a stressful situation in your life and these symptoms showed up, you know, maybe a few months later. That is what we're looking for, and we need to understand what it was, because the vast majority of you are still conflict active. So we want to try to find and identify the conflict first. And then when we do that, we want to know if we're still conflict active. If you had GERD and then the GERD is gone, if you had stomach ulcers and then the stomach ulcers stop burning, then chances are that you have resolved the conflict and now you're in the healing phase and you have healing symptoms. Like gastritis is a healing symptom. If you have gastritis, that's a healing symptom. It's cell proliferation. The tissues is inflamed to heal that tissue. If you have like on and off burning sensations for like a long, like sometimes there'll be no burning for a few months and then there'll be a lot of burning, then you're probably experiencing something called a conflict relapse. So let's say, you know, I have like a lot of territorial anger issues with my next door neighbor, and let's say one year we're on good terms, and next year we're fighting about someone's tree blocking their garden or something like that. You know, like every few months it's something different, you know, on and off, on and off, on and off. Then that's someone who could have burning while they're conflict active, while they're fighting with the neighbor, they have the burning sensation, and then when they resolve it, you know, they're good, and then the next month they're fighting about something else. So when they're conflict active, when you're conflict active, there's the burning, there's the GERD. And then when you're in the healing phase, the burning sensation will slowly go away. Because the burning sensation is from the ulceration in this tissue, and it takes a little bit of time for that ulceration to heal. So yeah, we're looking to resolve the conflict. Are you burning? If you have a burning sensation in your gut, and you're stressed out, you have insomnia, you have cold hands and cold feet, you're just always like wired, chances are you're still conflict active. And then once it gets resolved, expect healing symptoms. You're going to get healing symptoms. You might have vomiting, indigestion and stuff like that. But if the burning is going away, that is a good sign. And then you might get diagnosed with H. pylori and gastritis. But the thing I want you to take away from this is H. pylori is not causing your gut symptoms. It's the firefighter at the scene of a fire. That is all it is. And so what H. pylori can do, it can intensify the symptoms because it's helping with the cell proliferation. It's helping out with the healing phase, which, you know, involves rearranging your tissues, which isn't going to feel good, but it's necessary. So taking mild disinfectants can help make the symptoms a little bit more tolerable. Something else that might help is easy to digest foods. So things like raw milk is very easy to digest, eating smaller meals, because the bigger the meal, the more stomach acid and the harder your stomach has to work. I would not recommend antacids. I do not recommend taking more acids like the holistic community. They're crazy. Like, why would you want to rub more stomach acid into your wounds? It makes absolutely no sense. And just think, I know this is a crazy idea, like a different way of thinking about it, but just think about this. Ulcers never develop on the bottom part of the stomach. They only develop up here in the lesser curvature. Most of the acid's stored down here. This is how we are designed. When we experience a stressful situation, our psyche interprets a stressful situation. Oh my God, my neighbor is tearing down my fence and cutting up my tree. Territorial anger, get off my territory. That's how my psyche perceives this. And it runs a biological program to help me overcome this situation. Usually these symptoms do not show up until you've been conflict active for quite a long time. But all of our tissues developed for a specific survival purpose, and when we experience a stressful situation, our psyche is going to activate one of our organs to go into overdrive to help us overcome the situation. So this is what's going on with H. pylori. H. pylori is your friend. It is you. H. pylori is you. You are made up of more bacteria and fungi than you are human cells. I think it's like 4-to-1. You are more bacteria and fungi than you are human cells. H. pylori is you. It's helping you get through this program. It's part of the program. It's in all of us. So I hope this helps you understand what's going on. If you have any questions, please ask them down below in the comments section. I would appreciate a thumbs up. That helps YouTube promote this. And yeah, hit that subscribe button. And I'll show you guys how to heal your gut with German New Medicine, where you can eat whatever you want. You don't have to be on these boring bland diets. You don't have to be on these crazy drugs. Your body can heal itself. You aren't broken like modern medicine, holistic medicine leads you to believe. You are perfect just the way you are. We just don't know how to use our body correctly, and we don't understand what's going on. So there's a lot of fear, and fear and being afraid of our own skin, of our own selves, of our own flesh and blood, you know, can activate a lot of these special programs and cause a lot of trouble. So if you are serious about healing your gut, and I mean serious, I have a program called the Rapid Gut Healing Program, and it comes with a bunch of video courses, and it comes with a private Facebook group where I answer everyone's questions every single day. And then twice a week, we do live Q&As where I answer all of your questions. We go on a Zoom call and we talk, and I answer your questions and make sure that you can get better. And that's it, guys. I have a ton of free content on my YouTube channel, so you can check that out more. But other than that, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.